Hello everybody, welcome to today's video. Today, you read the title right. We have some hot and sweaty summer books for you. Yeah, I mean, I would say some of them are literal and some of them are not. But I have 5 books to discuss with the group today. I'm very excited for summer to be here. My birthday's in the summer. I'm a summer baby. My middle name means summer princess in Japanese, so I'm kind of that summer girl, I guess. So yeah, I have 5 books to discuss with you today. So let's get into it. Didn't want to do too many because I don't like talking about too many books because then I feel like I have to rush and then I'm talking for like forever and then it's just too much. It's too much. So we're going to keep it at 5. I feel like that'll give you guys some good options. I tried to choose a little bit of everything, but yeah, I chose these books based on kind of the general atmosphere or just kind of the vibe of a summer read. I feel like summer reads are good reads that you could like pick up and put down because a lot of the times in the summer you're reading, you're going outside for a bit and picking up your book, but maybe you're with your friends, so you're going to chat a little bit and then go back to your book. So I tried to choose reads that you don't necessarily have to be like zoned in on 100%. Because I feel like there's also just the general ambiance of a summer read. I just kind of tried to pick some well-rounded books that you could pick up for the summer. So I'm just going to get this one out of the way because I've talked about this book many times on my channel, but it is The Apprenticeship or The Book of Pleasures by Clarice Lispector. I knew I wanted to pick at least one Lispector. A lot of her books are, if not all of her books, are based in Rio, Brazil. There's just like a humid, warm energy to Lispector's work and general environments, I think. I chose this one because I feel like this fit the summer bill the most. I was honestly between The Hour of the Star and this one, but this is centered around kind of a romance and it's a little like sensual and all of that. Maybe I wouldn't say it's centered around a romance. It's kind of centered around the self entering a relationship and what it is to desire and wait for someone or be ready for someone and what that means, if that is real, if what happens when you do connect with that person, and like kind of the lessons learned along the way, I guess. As always, it's a very abstract read. There's a central narrative, but also don't like go into any Lispector book looking for a good plot because that's just not what she's going for. It's kind of just a study of love and relationships and how that can manifest in your own interiority and, you know, how to balance 2 personalities when you create another separate thing that is this love or relationship. So, yeah, that is my first one. I read this last summer and it fit very well. I read this in July of last year and it was a good summer read. The next one I feel like a lot of people have talked about as of recent, but this is Bonjour Tristesse by Francois Sagan or Sagan. This is like the ultimate angsty summer book. It takes place in France. The story is about this girl and her father is separated from the girl's mother, but her father is seeing other people and dating and kind of a womanizer, if you will. But he kind of settles down with 2 different women that he brings to their summer house. And the main character, the girl, is kind of trying to understand what that is. I feel like there is also a coming of age element to it, but it takes place on like coastal France. So it's very warm and hot and just like you feel the summer heat and the relief of the ocean and all of that. I would also say it's a very compelling narrative as well. So if you want something that kind of, I wouldn't say it's like a page turner, but there is like a central plot line and through line when speaking to this as opposed to maybe a Lispector. So yeah, and I really enjoy French literature. So I highly recommend Bonjour Tristesse. The next book that I have is a poetry collection because I wanted to mix it up a little bit. But I have The Wild Iris by Louise Gluck. I read this 2 summers ago. I will say that it goes through all of the seasons. There are some parts that are in the winter, but also there are a lot of like floral, spring, and summery poems in here, if you will. There's a bunch called Vespers, but there's one of the latter Vespers that is just like so good. I'm not going to do it justice when I read it, so just so you know, but it's definitely one of my favorite poems in the collection. But I'll try to read some of it and recite it, but don't come for me if it's bad. End of August, heat like a tent over John's garden, and some things have the nerve to be getting started. Clusters of tomatoes, stands of late lilies, optimism of the great stalks, imperial gold and silver, but why start anything so close to the end? Tomatoes that will never ripen, lilies winter will kill, that won't come back in spring. Or are you thinking I spend too much time looking ahead like an old woman wearing sweaters in summer? Are you saying I can flourish, having no hope of enduring? Blaze of the red cheek, glory of the open throat, white spotted with crimson. Yeah. I feel like that's like an ultimate summer poem. There's things of the sort in here. I would say this would be a good book to read in the extremes of the season, that being summer and winter. But Louise Gluck has some incredible poetry centered around nature and the like. So if you happen upon any of her other poetry that seems nature-oriented, I think it's definitely worth a read this summer. The next book that I have is Elena Ferrante, Days of Abandonment. I just read this one this month. My friend Julia actually gifted me this. I was like down in the dumps one day and she bought me this, and it is about a woman who gets left by her husband and is kind of left abandoned, if you will, with her 2 small children and dog. This is based in Italy, and the majority of the plot occurs in the depths and the thick of summer. And there is this just very like uncomfortable, almost like high entropy sort of air to it, both physically like in the atmosphere, I guess, but also like within the movement of the actual plot itself. The middle like 70 pages, I've read this maybe in like a day and a half. And I thought it was fantastic. It was my first Ferrante that I've ever read, and I am definitely going to read more this summer. I think I'm going to try to read the Neapolitan Quartet this summer, because I feel like Ferrante, from what I've gleaned thus far, she's a good summer read. But this was amazing. Like, definitely uncomfortable. I can't stress that enough. Like, there were parts where I was fully stressed. I was stressed out. This woman was stressing me the fuck out, but it's definitely a part of it. It's a part of, you know, separating from one and what it means to have to forge a path as a single person, like single being, I guess, not in a relationship, but also separated from the entity that was the relationship that used to be. And yeah, I think it really captures the discomfort of a breakup. And obviously this is like a marital breakup, but just in general, I think it is very on par with the experience of what it is like to be a woman going through a breakup. She definitely stressed me out, but I also related to her a lot. And it's a really good exploration on female rage. You know, it is this woman in her late 30s, I believe. So yeah, I thought it was nice to read about a woman going through an experience at that age, because I feel like a lot of the literature I read is from the perspective of people my age. So yeah, I thought it was very refreshing for me. And the last book that I want to talk about, I actually do not have a physical copy of, but that is Swimming in the Dark by Tomasz Jodorowsky. I thought this was fantastic. I would say like the first half feels very summery, the latter half maybe not so much. So maybe this would be a good read for like end of August, September. But it is about this young boy that comes of age in communist Poland. He goes to this camp and meets this guy, and they end up, having a romantic relationship. And it's kind of his personal exploration with being queer, and also a sort of reckoning with the political atmosphere of his environment. With that comes kind of disagreements and differing views and opinions on the said political environment, and that will inevitably affect relationships, whether that be with family, romantically, etc. And so it is a love story kind of, but also there is that political element that I really enjoyed reading about. There's something about a coming of age sort of romance that feels very summery. I don't know, I feel like I associate summer with romance a lot, not for any other reason other than the fact that I feel like, and I don't know if this is going to make sense when it comes out, but I feel like the feeling of romance and falling in love is very similar to summer, where there's this like window that you experience this like super fun whirlwind of an experience, and it feels very emotionally charged, and there's a sense that this feeling won't be like this forever. So there's a sense of scarcity almost, in that there will be less and less days of this sort of feeling. And the same goes for summer, where that once it is warm outside, I feel like in the summer, you're trying to do everything to try to take advantage of the warmth and the freedom that comes with summer and all of that. And there is almost like a sense of doom that this is going to go away. So I feel like both of those things are very fleeting. And so I feel like I associate those two things very closely to each other. That's kind of just to say that like maybe a romance book is kind of the vibe, or a book centered around romance. I don't really read like proper romance genre novels, but reading about a love story can be fun every once in a while. Just wanted to do a short little recommendations video for today. I've kind of been in a little bit of a reading slump, so I don't really know when the next wrap-up is going to be, so apologies. I am reading, just not really as much as I was in the beginning of the year, but that's okay. I've been kind of doing other hobbies and such, so that is all for today's video. I hope that maybe I mentioned a book that you are interested in reading this summer, and please let me know what your summer reading recs are, because I'm definitely on the hunt for a good summer atmospheric read. So based on what I've described in this, that's kind of what I'm looking for. So if you have any books that fit the criteria, please, please, please let me know. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you when I see you. Bye.